Hello and good evening, everyone. It's Popcast on the Rocks time. This is another spoiler cast for Doom Patrol, Season 1, Episode 8 and 9. We'll get to that later in the episode. So the first bit will be about a bit of news, and then there'll be spoilery stuff later. I am John. This is Andrea. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you doing, John?
Pretty good.
Awesome.
I've got energy.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how much of mine might be that sort of like manic energy that you get when you're overtired, but I've got
Okay,
it
yeah.
and I'm gonna ride it. So, yeah, like I was telling you earlier, we've been painting our house this week, which is great now that it's all done and it looks so good and I'm so happy. But yeah, it's a pain in the butt. I forgot how like crazy it is that you have to be so detailed and you can't like paint the trim and oh shit, you got a spot on the ceiling and oh man, now I gotta go fix that. So yeah, I forgot how much of a pain it is, but we're finally putting our house back together and it's all good now, hopefully. And we never have to do it again, or at least not for like,
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah, I suppose it depends on how long you guys keep that house. If you're pretty
Exactly.
settled there and everything's good, then paint can go a while.
Exactly.
Sometimes it goes until you just get sick of it, and then you're ready for new stuff.
Right. Yeah, I feel like when we first moved in, Chris, because he was off for the summer, did most of the painting. And so I really didn't feel like how bad it was. And so I was
Mm.
like I'd gotten in there and I'd chosen some colors and he painted them and I was like, "Oh, I don't know if I like these. Like maybe we should change them." And I don't think that's something I should have really said to somebody who just like painted the entire house because he looked at
Yeah.
me and he was like, "We are keeping these GD paint colors for at least 3 years. And if in 3 years you still hate them, we can talk about it." So, now I understand more of
Right.
his pain having gone through that this time. So,
It's a pain. We,
yeah.
we moved in a while ago already, and still aren't quite done, and we're going to be getting to the last bit of painting,
Mhm.
and we might do a little remodeling actually
Really?
instead. Yeah, so we're gonna see what that comes to price wise and stuff. But
Okay.
our foyer area is open to the
Yeah.
top. You
Yeah.
know, we might like close that off and have it be a floor because you got that big window
Mm.
there
Uh-huh.
that it was kind of weird when the house was being put together. It was floor there, like
Okay.
in the moving process, and then they take that out. It was temporary, so then it's
Sure.
open. But when we saw it there, I was like, that's kind of nice. And now when
Okay.
we're getting to painting, got to paint these like high up ceilings and
Oh
stuff
my
or
god,
whatever.
yes.
And we got this window that we can't clean unless you bring in like a 12-foot ladder, and it's just
Mhm.
obnoxious.
Yep.
So we could use the extra space, and I don't know. So we're gonna look into it anyways.
I hear that. Like we have the same thing in our entryway. Like the immediate entryway is, there's like a lower ceiling and then you like come out of that into like our stairway and then it's got that like high vaulted ceiling in that area. And we painted that, which was terrifying. Like Chris brought in, his like giant A-frame ladder and it was just like
Mhm.
holy crap. Like this is
Yep.
insane. I never ever want to do this again. Like these colors, if we paint the rest of the house whatever, but these colors now have to stay forever because that's terrifying.
Yep.
So, I totally get it.
Yep. So,
So,
but I mean,
yeah.
it's Ashley's been very motivated with it. She works and like always starts the process and stuff. So
Mhm.
we get stuff done, but we love picking out the colors. It's fun
Yes.
to have different colors. So
Yeah, no, I hear that like and we're not entirely done. We do have one more room to do. But at least that
okay,
feels like because we just painted like all of our hallways and entryway and all that kind of like, extraneous space. So that felt like sort of weirdly never ending because it wasn't like confined to one room where, you can like see when you're
hmm
getting done. It was just like, oh my God, like we have to paint around this door frame and this place. So yeah.
you're not going to move that bookshelf behind you and paint your wall and ceiling green, so you can green screen yourself anywhere you want.
Oh boy, now I have new ideas. Chris is gonna be so
Yep.
pleased.
Hmm.
You're gonna get an angry text from him later. John,
Yeah.
shut up! No more painting.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I mean, we're in our
Well, that
mid.
sounds not a lot of fun.
No,
What's
but
that?
we're in our mid 30s, so I feel like that's what the kind of things that we're like excited about. Like, oh, we got painting this weekend.
Sure. I
It's
mean, I
part of
still
like
get
being a
excited
homeowner.
when there's a new Animal Crossing feature. So I guess, I mean, I resist the being too mature, I suppose.
No, I hear that, but it is funny how it sneaks up on you.
Yep.
Suddenly you're like, oh, my weekend's full of like a house project, and like it's tough to work on, but at the end you're like, oh, my house is so cool.
Yep.
So yeah,
Yep.
growing up, but not too
We
much.
went to yeah, not too much. Then your heart and soul dies.
Yes. Well,
We
that
went
that's an
to
abrupt stop to that.
Lanesboro. What?
Conversation ender right
uh,
there.
yeah. Well, I think it's true. You gotta keep your imagination going. You gotta be able to appreciate the small things and
Mhm.
the ridiculous things in life. And as
Absolutely.
soon as the only thing you're worried about is, I don't know, more money or a fancier car, sometimes the large things, then I don't know, it's a quick path to unhappiness. So
Absolutely.
that's why I like Jeff Goldblum. He seems so happy all the time because he can just be like, taste the thing of ice cream and be like, oh my God. And he wants to touch everything. And he's all like,
Keeps that
I just
childlike
love it.
wonder.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I cut you off. You were saying something about going to Lanesboro.
Yeah, we went to Lanesboro this last weekend for our anniversary. So it was we didn't do the like tubing down the river. There's a big river there and stuff.
Mhm.
But maybe next time. So we just like walked around and ate some good food and had like wine slushies and that kind
Nice.
of thing.
That
So
sounds pretty great.
yeah. Yeah, and
My
they have an
family.
old mill
Yep.
restaurant yeah, so we stayed there. Yeah.
Nice. My family goes down to Lanesboro to go biking a lot, so I'm fairly
Hmm.
well acquainted with that town.
Yeah. I mean, it's we biking would have been great too. Like we could have
Mhm.
biked to the pie shop.
I was gonna say, did you have some pie?
We absolutely did. Yep.
Good. Okay, good. So definitely a must when you go there.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought it would be fun as like a group or something sometime to go tubing down the river there if we found a
Mhm.
nice weather, nice chunk of weather.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I've gone tubing on that river. It was the first time I actually went with my grandparents and then my parents. And I'm pretty sure it's the place where my mom like dumped over in her tube and freaked out
oh.
because she couldn't swim. And so she like dumped out of her tube. Yeah, the river. Um
Hmm.
so she got dumped out of her tube and she's like flailing around. She's holding up her glasses and she's screaming at my dad. She's like, "Jim, Jim, I can't swim." And like me and my dad are going over to her and I'm holding her arms and my dad is literally trying to plant her legs on the riverbed because it's standing level water and he's like, Just stand up." And she was
Alan
just
just
so
said to you, yeah.
panicked. Yeah, she was just so panicked. She like couldn't like understand that she could stand up even though my father and I were standing and holding her.
I I do think I remember this story. Yeah, I didn't
Yes.
know it was there. That's funny.
Yes. So, yeah, it's pretty great. My mom's a good sport about it. She
Oh,
laughs about it now, but yeah, she was so panicked. Holy cow. It was very funny.
crazy.
But yeah,
That's
I
funny.
mean, despite my mom getting dumped, which I think was just an accident, it's a good river to go tubing down. It was
Yeah.
fun. I mean, 4 out of the
I
5 of
saw
us
someone,
didn't.
right, yeah. I saw someone like just having their cooler floating along next to them,
Mhm. Yep.
That's the way to go.
Yeah, I've
So,
done that a couple times on
uh,
the Cannon River. That's actually really nice.
oh, where is that?
Cannon Falls, Minnesota, like
Okay.
45-ish minutes from here.
Sure. You're letting all the people online like be able to pinpoint your location pretty quickly here. You're like, all right, 45 minutes. Let's see.
That's right. Yeah. People are going to triangulate
Mhm.
my position now.
Yep. Mhm. Were you drinking anything fun today?
I am sort of. So I did not Alan is wishing the internet good luck
Oh yeah.
as they try to find me as I describe my position.
Mm-hmm.
45 minutes from Cannon
Mm-hmm.
Falls towards the cities. Um so yeah, so I'm not following today or yesterday was National Bourbon Day and National Grand Marnier Day. Um So I'm not following either of those. I'm actually following yesterday being Bastille Day, which is celebrating
Okay.
the 1789 storming of the Bastille prison in France. There's not really like a traditional drink. Like I was just looking online and they were like, oh, like, you can drink different things, like, French inspired. So I thought I'd have myself a little glass of champagne. So I
Okay.
was feeling like
Nice.
celebrating that we got our house all in order and our house all painted, and Bastille Day was like, yeah, French champagne. So
Yeah, you
going for a
got that.
classic.
You got that bottle next to you. You're gonna have to finish that now.
Take it down.
Pop the
That's
cork.
right. Oh no.
Mhm.
How about
Yeah.
yourself? What are you drinking today?
I'm going with the Bourbon Day.
All right.
So I have a Kentucky bourbon,
Mm-hmm.
and Alan was actually saying how he's got his Japanese whiskey and tea, some sort of tea.
Sweet tea.
Uh, yeah, sweet tea. Well, Ashley found these Tivana teas in the grocery store today, and so this is Kentucky bourbon with a Tivana oolong tea
Oh,
drink and a little bit of club soda, and
okay.
it's refreshing.
Yeah. Keeping you hydrated.
Mhm. Something like that. I mean, it is mostly water, so yeah, I'm
Sure.
sure.
Well,
Mhm.
it
So yeah,
sounds
well,
pretty
that's good.
good.
We're being festive. Yes.
That's right. That's right.
Well, the news this week is pretty much gaming related.
Yeah.
Everything I threw in there is gaming stuff. I just added briefly because I want to make the recommendation to everybody. I don't think I brought it up yet.
Okay.
Uh, of an anime on Netflix called Dorohedoro,
Okay.
and it's crazy. It's very adult. It's I haven't seen anything like it.
Okay.
I've always said that since the days of Ninja Scroll, Akira, the Ghost in the Shell movie, did I say Ninja Scroll already? I
Yes.
think I did. That kind of uh, grisly, dark, adult feeling anime is harder to come by.
Mhm.
So nowadays, often the adult anime is just like showing lots of scantily clad people,
Mhm.
um, and or it's a more serious toned show, but it's
Right.
like a crime drama or something like that. This is
Right.
like bloody and gruesome, dark sense of humor. Very like there's a lot of mushrooms in the show for different reasons that you'll see, and we keep thinking, man, are they telling us something? They were on mushrooms a lot making this show because it really seems like it.
That was definitely
So
my first
if
thought
you're,
was like, are we like
yeah,
doing mushrooms in this show or what?
they're not, but the creators had to be. So
Sure.
it's I highly recommend it. We're watching a couple episodes a night, and if you're into the a dark humor kind of thing that you probably haven't seen anything like before. So
Okay. I will check
it
it
gives
out.
me it gives me kind of like cyberpunk vibes, or but I don't know. People, I give it a shot. So
Okay. All
Netflix.
right.
All right, the rest of the stuff is gaming things. Did you catch any of the gaming events this week? There were
Mm-hmm.
4 of them, I think, here.
Yes. So as we were talking about last weekend, I caught the Ubisoft Forward event and was on Sunday, the 12th. Was a little bit excited about it. I mean, excited in the sense of like I saw a lot of new footage, new gameplay that I hadn't seen before. But nothing was terribly surprising. Nothing sort of like shook me or maybe go, "Whoa." Um Mostly just made me jealous and made me kind of want to be a game developer. Like I was thinking about I mean, of
Oh,
course, like Assassin's Creed Valhalla was my, the part I was looking forward to the most. And that intro where they're like traveling to Norway and traveling to England to do research, I was like, man, I need to do this. Like, I need to,
yeah,
set a game in a place that I've always wanted to visit and just be like, oh, well, research because man,
yeah.
beautiful. And
That's
I
definitely
mean,
on our bucket list. Go do
yeah,
that Viking like hotel and experience and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, the footage they showed was stunning. And you could really see how it all the Nordic countries. Alan's already got his like travel bucket list going. Um, yeah, I mean, it was absolutely fabulous, and you could really see how their research had influenced the authenticity of the game, which was pretty cool.
Yep.
But yeah, and nothing, I don't know, nothing just like crazy standout.
Hmm.
One game,
Yeah.
one game I was a little bit more excited about. Was Watch Dogs Legion. That looked really fun. And
Okay.
I hadn't really been following that before. But this sort of like inside look into like, modern day London, and the gameplay there was really, I don't know, just thought it was really well done.
I'll be interested to see what diehard fans think of Assassin's Creed. I'm glad
Mhm.
there's definitely a contingent where the fact that the games are changing so much from what they originally were, that they're upset about that. But
Mhm.
given how
Yes.
many games there's been in the franchise, I'm happy to see that they are changing things up, growing, expanding, whatever, because I mean, I feel like you need to do that to keep things fresh. It's
Right.
just otherwise
Nobody
it's
wants to
just
play the
another.
same thing.
Yeah, and look, I get it. I like an Uncharted game. You could give me an Uncharted game every 4 years, and I will play an Uncharted game, and it doesn't need to rewrite the book. And
Mhm.
but if they're going to pump these out every year, every 2 years, just creatively, they're going to get, they're going to dry up if they don't, push into new territory. So this changes a
Exactly.
lot. They talk about you're commanding a group of Vikings that you
Mhm.
sail around with. So you would bring them in on your excursions on the land, and
Right.
then you build encampments.
Mhm.
That's new that you would do that. They're doing something where you can change your sex throughout
Yes.
the game, free will, like whenever you want, which is and working that into the technologically working that into the story to make that make
Mhm.
sense if you do that. A lot of different changes like that and stuff. And I don't know. It looks like a good progression from where they've gone with Origins to Odyssey to now to this. It's
Exactly.
enough different. So. I think the big thing was Far Cry 6 if it hadn't been
Mhm.
leaked.
Yeah.
It's such a cool trailer. I guess that opening and stuff was made by the guy that does the Westworld openings and
That's cool. I
um,
didn't know that.
some other big show or a thing. And what was it? Oh, True Detective.
Oh,
And
okay.
both of
Yeah.
those shows have such like clear uh, um, and impressive opening sequences. And I was really excited by what they showed us there. Again, if it hadn't leaked beforehand, it would have been
Mhm.
a good cap to the show.
Yep. Yeah, unfortunately, they can't do a whole lot about that, but yeah, it's a bummer that you have to close on something that, isn't, as impressive since it's been leaked.
Mm. Yep. Yep. Stupid leaks. Well, I was happy with the event in general, I guess, so it was,
Yeah.
I think they gave us what was expected and what we wanted. So,
Mm-hmm.
they did, and I saw some stuff about them brushing over, like recent, scandals within the company. And I haven't kept up on it too much, but have been some serious accusations laid towards some higher ups at the company, and some
Really?
people have stepped down and different stuff or whatever. And they didn't talk about it, that I recall. Personally, I think that that's the right move. This is all ongoing. It's
Mm-hmm.
not here to see what's going on, not to approve of your culture or your problematic employees or whatever it may be.
Sure.
But some people weren't happy with how that was handled or not handled. So that was one aspect. Let's see. I think that's about all I have to say about the Ubisoft event. I noticed, I don't know if you watched any of this.
I didn't know. I love your
Okay.
comment though. Weird, so weird. Like, what is this
So
now?
I follow games I follow games and know more about games than I play games. So I
Sure.
like Ashley is, by every possible definition, a gamer. She
Mm-hmm.
like crushes through all kinds of games, but I am more up on games than she is, and I don't remember ever seeing the Devolver Digital event.
No.
Um,
No, you put it on here and I was
and
like, say what now?
Yeah, well, Devolver is Devolver Digital. They're a game company and they have all kinds
Mm-hmm.
of games and stuff, and that's great. But apparently, they've had these events each year. I guess I don't know that they act like this is a regular thing, and
Okay.
so I saw it and I started tuning in, and it's so strange. It belongs on Adult Swim for sure. Like that's definitely where they should have played it.
Okay.
But there were some notable things. So Shadow Warrior 3, they showed off some gameplay and such of that. Very gruesome. Those games have done well, I think, recently. Carry On, which is this really bloody kind of 2D platformer, maybe Metroidvania-ish. I know the term's overused, but that you play the monster, this like tentacle monster and stuff, and they had Phil Spencer on to introduce it, and that's coming to Game Pass, and
Okay.
so that was cool.
Wow. Yeah.
um Fall Guys, they had a big PlayStation exec there, and Ashley said this is the one battle royale game she may try, like online multiplayer thing. Fall Guys is like you're a
Okay.
bunch of cute little guys that are trying to survive obstacles and being like tossed off the stage and all that stuff. um and then Serious Sam 4, those which is, I mean, Serious Sam's been around a long time.
Mm-hmm.
This looks a lot very Doom like to me, but it was a crazy event. It's filled with tons of like interludes and in between sketches, comedy sketches and odd stuff,
Weird.
and
I mean,
it's really strange.
were they connecting these comedy sketches? Were they like supposed to be about the
Yeah,
games or
it was like a lot. It was a lot of commentary on like the gaming media and the gaming world, and talking about it's not about the games anymore. It's all about hype. It's just a hype machine. Like, give me
okay.
more content and more things to show me thing. And then they did some funny things like showing games that are never going to exist or whatever to be silly. Um,
Okay.
yeah, it definitely all was supposed to connect for sure. So,
Sure. I suppose
anyways,
though, it sounds kind of trippy.
yeah, I was keyed into another gaming event that I had not previously been privy to. So
Would you watch it again? Like, was it weird enough to be like, I'll just like pick up my news from the
I
internet, or is it like, I don't know, I'll give it another try.
I mean, look, I'm in this thing where I don't generally watch live television at all, but I do
Hmm.
look for live content online, whether and usually it's tech related or something. So if I
Sure.
don't have anything else going on, I certainly turn on something live if I get the chance. So yes, I would watch it again if I were to catch it live. So
Okay.
um so good event there in terms of announcements. Then there's this
Hmm.
Stadia Connect, which I didn't know was happening,
Yeah.
but so I didn't catch that live at all. Um Stadia has been, as far as I'm aware, pretty much a failure
Hmm.
to this point. But as I was saying, at least Google hasn't given up yet. They haven't
Right.
just like, well, we didn't succeed right off the bat, so we're going to drop this.
Right.
So that's, and it was a really, really boring event. The problem with Stadia is they're not announcing. It's like people talk about exclusives being a problem, or the exclusives not mattering as much anymore.
Hmm.
But to start a new platform, you
They
kind of
do.
need that. I mean, that's your draw.
Yeah.
Xbox wouldn't have worked if it didn't have Halo. It's
Right.
just the way it is.
Well,
So,
and to be honest, I mean, it to me isn't that different from what we were talking about with like all these TV channels that are trying to launch. Like, and their
yeah,
problems with like they don't have enough original content that draws you in specifically to their channel. Like if I can
yep,
watch, general content anywhere, why am I going to watch it on Apple TV? Well, you have to get me there with like your original content.
yep,
So this is basically the same thing. Like I was just like looking through the event a little bit, and yeah, there's like nothing exciting here,
right.
unfortunately. If there's nothing
It's
new, exclusive,
right.
there's fun announcements that you can play things on Google Stadia, but I mean,
Yep,
if I can do that elsewhere, yeah, you got to convince me.
exactly. You've got to get enough people that are in the market for, boy, I don't want to buy a home game system, because that's
Mhm.
expensive. So I'm going to spend now $100 to get this controller and play it on whatever. Um,
Right.
but I don't know. I mean, you can spend 200 on a Xbox or PlayStation on sale and, you know, have
Yeah.
more and greater games,
Right.
wider selection. So,
Yeah, I mean, I get what they're trying to do here. I mean, they're not only developing Stadia, but also like releasing games that are produced by
yep.
Stadia. But I mean, I can see here that they've got only one title that they've produced
Yeah.
so far. And I
Mhm.
really think you probably should have been developing more before you launched. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Like,
They were,
I mean, it's 8 months
yep.
into Stadia. Like, how is this your first game coming out now?
Yep. That's the thing. They have zero credibility in the gaming space. They haven't, Microsoft, before they made a console, was in the gaming market for a long time. Like they
Mhm.
owned IP, and with PCs, like it was a big, they were in the gaming space. They had some clout there.
Right.
And Google has none.
Mhm.
So yeah, you'd think that, I mean, this technology isn't perfect either. People have talked about playing it, and it's,
Yeah.
you can't use a controller wirelessly for some of the stuff. Devices are limited, whatever, like it's not perfect. So you
Yeah.
have time to work on this tech while you develop some games, release with, a big a big bang, three amazing games or something like that.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily a prerequisite to have, like tons of gaming experience because at some point, like everybody started somewhere. But like
yeah,
you say, like if you're going to launch and get in that space, at least give yourself the best shot and do it in the
yep,
most impressive way you can. Not this like
yep.
weird, slow roll, like people have barely heard of this, you're just developing these games and it's already out. Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
this to me is like shooting themselves in the foot.
If they were the only ones doing this, I would see, because this will be the future for, I
Mhm.
think, mass consumption of gaming pretty much.
Mhm.
But the other there are other players in this market already.
Exactly.
So they're not.
Yeah, you're not cornering this market. You're competing in
Yeah.
it still. So go
Yep.
compete. Don't just tiptoe around.
So I should have switched these stories around for better better transition here, but I'm just gonna mention the Hideo Kojima thing quick, which is kind of the other event. Hideo Kojima had a interview with Jeff Keighley, and I missed the first little bit of it, but I didn't see anything big about it. It seemed to me like Jeff Keighley just wanted to get Hideo Kojima in it, on camera to talk a little bit because they're pals, know. And Death Stranding is on PC now, and so they would talk a little bit about bringing it to PC and that kind of thing, and not too much came of it, but
but yeah, still gaming content out there.
Yep. But it'd be interesting to see how Death Stranding does on PC. I think when it first came out, it was really, what is this game? People were confused for a long time, and then when it came out, it wasn't everybody's cup of tea. Well, now it's had some time to set, and people can understand better what it is and what they're getting into if they purchase it. So it'll be interesting to see if it does well on PC now. Whereas I don't think it did that well on PlayStation before. So
yeah, maybe PC is what it needs.
Yeah. All right. And then speaking of PlayStation, so I follow a lot of gaming big sites and publications and such.
Yeah.
And not so much the specific like podcast specific to PlayStation or specific to Nintendo or whatever. And everybody on these large generic platforms talk about Xbox Game Pass all the time. They talk about how, this is probably the future. This is where we're going. It's the Netflix of games. It's great that they're doing this, all this stuff. And I was wondering, well, PlayStation has PlayStation Now, and I tested it some time ago, but I hadn't really looked into it since.
Sure.
And I wanted to give it that shot and see how it's changed or whatever. And I was really impressed. And I don't understand now why the gaming media at large has not been talking about PlayStation Now. Maybe it's because Sony themselves isn't marketing it and pushing it as much as Microsoft is. Sure. Microsoft is always talking about Game Pass, and they're just like, this is, clearly this is the future for us. Subscribe to Game Pass. That's what we want you to do. Whereas Sony doesn't talk about it as much. But the service has tons of games on it.
Sure.
So it's got the PlayStation exclusives. It's got a few things from PlayStation 2 era, PlayStation 3, and PlayStation 4. It's a big assortment. It's got to be larger than Game Pass's selection.
Oh wow! Okay.
And it offers streaming and downloadable. So that's the key difference. Is some games you can only stream, and some games you can stream and download or whatever, or just download whatever. So there's some good stuff on there like Control, which I downloaded, and then I wanted to see how the streaming went. So I tried just tonight. That's why I was a little late. Was 5 different games and wanted to be of varying complexity for the service.
Yeah.
So I tried. I don't know how to say it really. Machinarium. Machinarium. It's a game that's on mobile platforms. It's on everything, so it's not difficult to run. That ran fine.
Okay.
Castlevania Harmony of Despair also ran fine, though I had issues with it was so small. I couldn't see it. I know there's different zoom modes. I needed to figure that out or whatever, but otherwise it performed fine.
Okay.
Sonic Adventure 2. So going up a little more in advancement to a 3D thing. It was on a Dreamcast. That ran smoothly. Then I played Dead or Alive 5. So fighting game, that's a good test. 3D
Mm-hmm.
fighting game that was PS3, early PS4 era. And that was smooth as well. It had some like hiccups in the screen, in the image, but not in the performance. So it was
Not
like
in
the
the
screen would
play.
glitch in places. Yeah, but it didn't slow down.
Okay.
So it clearly like prioritized frame rate over resolution or graphical fidelity.
Sure.
And then I tried Prey, and I didn't get to like any of the super actiony parts or whatever really,
Mm-hmm.
but that all ran really smoothly too. And
Okay.
the cool thing about this is I was able to, within a short span of time, try all 5 of these games, and now I have Prey downloading. I knew
Mm-hmm.
about Prey. Ashley's played Prey, but I didn't really want to do it. I started this now because it only took a couple minutes to start and stream. And now I was like, well, maybe I'm kind of into this. Maybe I should play this. And now I download it. So it's a really good way to try a bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you want the better performance, download it to your system.
Sure.
So I was blown away. I was impressed. There's a lot of content on there. It worked well.
Do you think like maybe PlayStation isn't as focused on that just because they're so focused and they know they're kind of winning the messaging on their console right now, and they're going to maybe switch over to like talking more about PlayStation now, whereas like like the Xbox is
Mhm.
clearly not winning the console game. Like maybe
Yeah.
we need to push on the thing that we know that's solid and that people already know about, and that's Game Pass.
Yep.
I don't know. I just wonder if that's
I,
maybe like something to do with it. Not everything, but
I mean, I get why like you say, it makes sense why Sony and Microsoft aren't, why they're doing what they're doing. What I don't understand is why the gaming media is
I see.
talking about Game Pass is so amazing, but not bringing up PlayStation Now hardly ever. Oh, usually I just heard it today.
Yeah.
Yeah, PlayStation Now, it's gotten a lot better, and that's it.
That's it. Okay.
That's the extent of it.
Yeah,
Now,
that is
the
funny
Game Pass
then.
is great that, yeah, I mean, Game Pass is good that they have their first party exclusives on,
Mhm.
which there are like which there are hardly in at this point, but there will be presumably. They'll come out the day they launch normally, will come out on the service as well. So that's great. And games like Streets of Rage, brand new game, it gets put on Game Pass the same day it comes out. So
Mhm.
that's definitely, so Game Pass is winning in a number of ways.
Sure.
I'm just saying there definitely are benefits to PlayStation Now as well, including all these Microsoft or these Sony exclusives
Right.
over the years, and the ability to basically try a game quickly streaming and then download if you really want to play it.
That is nice. I do tend to be cautious when investing in games just because I don't know if I'm going to like them. So I mean, I would appreciate that sort of, like trial run almost before I'm like committing to downloading a game.
Yep.
So, well, maybe we can be, the first to start the revolution. Start talking about
I know, right?
PlayStation Now.
I'll have to harp on it on our full regular episode too, or something for a
That's
bit.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
Bring it up again. Bring it up until they listen,
But-
John.
Yeah. Well, Alan brings up like, part of the issue with, game streaming or these services, for him, like he says, keeping a license to a game that you've paid for is key.
Yeah.
And access to downloading the game. That's true, but it's the same. You can clearly see it's this, as has gone the music industry and then the film industry, so will go the game industry. Physical music sales just tanked, and it's all digital.
Yep.
Digital sales for a while, and then digital streaming.
Yep.
And that's the market leader. Movies are the same way. You look at a Best Buy or whatever, they don't stock hardly anything for television or movies anymore.
Yeah.
Because you're just going to stream it. And
Yep.
games will be absolutely the same way. There's just no question about it. And the sad thing is, even if you do buy physical game media, you're still not guaranteed to be able to continue to play it. So
Very
many
true.
games now, you buy the disc and it requires a large download in order to
Mm-hmm.
play, or it requires an internet connection to play.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, it is a sad thing that it's going away everywhere. This idea of ownership
Of
of
physical
media.
property.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we still have books if you choose to buy them. You can still buy CDs. There are
Right.
things that probably last pretty long that you can use. Just look at vinyl.
Right.
But
Yeah,
in a
who
lot
knows
of
what's
other
making a
regards.
comeback, I guess.
hmm Yep. And for me, as like I get older, I get less. I need to collect everything. I
Yeah.
used to be really precious about keeping my game boxes and like having them all. And I didn't want to resell them and all this stuff. And I just started not needing all the clutter.
Yep.
So,
That's good. You're not going to
but
be one of those like older people hoarders, you know?
yeah.
Because I feel like you can go like either way as you get older. Like you either like, you know, you or just a data hoarder, Alan says.
Mhm.
But like you and I seem to like I also don't necessarily need the clutter. Like I don't need the physical things around me. Like I'm more apt to, like have something be digital because I don't want the thing. Except for books. I still love to like read physical books. But, like the other way, like, as people get older, I think they like tend to want to collect more and have the physical things. So
Yeah. I hope that
I think that's
I
going to be
hope
more
that we have
challenging.
in these industries, we have the ability to, you know, the ability to choose. Say someone they're like, I'm okay with my television and movies and my games. I can just turn on my television, select play on whatever it is, and watch it. It's convenient, it's
Hmm.
on demand, it's instant. But I love music and I want to be able to have my music collection, and
Yeah.
they can do that then. And I hope that I'm more worried about the game industry, but I hope that there's still in some places that choice. I think where you know, you can still buy books, so they can't take them
Right.
away from you. If a
Right.
book gets banned, you still have it unless they come and tear it from your cold dead hands. Like whatever.
Good luck, everybody.
Yeah. So I hope that most forms of media, there are still some instances where we can,
Yeah.
collector's editions, something. So,
Yeah,
but
I mean, I get that. I think it's a little sad that we are getting rid of so many physical things. Because yeah, there's certain things that you do want to physically own. Like I obviously
mhm,
just said, books are one of my things that like I don't like to read digitally. Like I don't want to read it on a Kindle. I want like my physical, copy of my book. And it's hard when, so much of the world is trending digital to actually find a physical copy of a book, or they don't
mhm,
print as many copies of new books or something, so you're kind of feeling like the options are being taken away from you a little bit.
yep. And a lot of people feel that way, and then eventually the convenience overtakes them.
Right.
You know, so
I suppose I am only in my
see.
30s, so I got a long time to decide if I'm going fully digital.
Yeah, yep. All right. Well, that's that. I think that's all the news, pretty much, that I cared about, anyways. I'm sure there was other stuff, but the
Hmm.
gaming stuff. Um, Doom Patrol. It's in our title.
Doom Patrol.
Spoilercast Doom Patrol. Yes. We'll watch 2 more episodes
Hmm.
this week of
That's
season
right.
1. So I hope that everybody is watching along with us to enjoy the patrolling and the Doom. Um, so spoilers, Alan, let everybody know.
That's
And
right.
oh, Alan has breaking news,
Breaking
breaking
news.
gaming news.
We
Reggie
interrupt.
Fils-Aimé. Yeah, we need our thing again, our ticker tape, and joined Rogue Games as an advisor. Interesting. I thought he was
Mm.
just advising GameStop. So he's moving all over the place.
All right.
Um, let's see what comes of that. Yes, Doom Patrol, season 1, episode 8.
Yes.
Um, more episodes that I didn't see coming. What'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, starting off with episode 8, I simultaneously really, really enjoyed this episode, and then also at the same time had some of my biggest issues, or singular issue, I
Okay.
should say, with Doom Patrol. And it was literally the premise of a sentient street. Like, I
Okay.
know Doom Patrol is weird, and we've seen some
Hmm.
wacky things. Like, we've seen a dimension inside a donkey, and we've
Yep.
seen like a floating blue unicorn horse head as a prophet.
Yep.
But for some reason, the notion of a street being sentient, just I had a really hard time with it.
Well, think of it as
Like,
a.
if they described it as like another sort of pocket dimension, I think I could have like sort of wrapped my mind around it,
I
you
wouldn't think
know?
of it as a street that's alive. Think of it as another being that has like
Transformed into a
possessed,
street?
or yeah, I mean, maybe it
Possessed a
could be a
street?
spaceship if
Yeah.
it wanted, you know? Maybe
Yeah.
it could be these different things. It's just this is how it's decided to like ground itself in our reality.
Sure. Yeah,
Um,
maybe my problem was just like the description. Just I,
mhm.
I I was just having a really hard time with like just like a physical street just suddenly being like, I'm Danny and I'm alive and I think and I'm, gender queer and hey, like I don't know. I just ascribe so many of those properties to like a being that, a street feels just like a thing. So I was just having a hard time.
Mhm.
But maybe it's just, the way that they sort of like rushed the intro and didn't
Yeah,
really like explain what that was, supposed to be.
right. Yeah, no, it's definitely left as a mystery as
Mhm.
to what this really is, where it came from.
Right.
I think of it as a like, you know, like omnipresent kind of being
Mhm.
that it's kind of like when you go into a city or town, they do that sort of thing at the beginning. Everybody's looking at you. It seems like you're being watched all the time. And
Yeah.
so it'd be kind of this eye in the sky that is all aware and knowing of this place. And that to
Mhm.
me is like the spirit or the embodiment of
Sure.
this small town, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, once I just sort of like let the fact that I
Just let it
wasn't,
go.
yeah, I
Yeah.
just kind of had to let it go because I was like, I'm not clearly going to get any explanation and I just have to
Yeah.
go with it because it's like the premise of the entire episode. I really enjoyed Danny's interactions with all of the characters and like, the way that
Mhm.
that Danny could communicate through all of like, the store signs and um, like the billboards and things like that. So it was really fun. And I thought like it did sort of start to develop a character, like I could almost feel, who
Mhm.
Danny is. So that was very fun. But yeah, I had a hard time a little bit initially adopting the premise. So
Well, I loved Larry's performance.
yeah.
The the one that didn't actually happen. But I was like,
Right.
that's a fun song and well done. I'm hoping that was Matt Bomer singing.
It is,
Um,
absolutely.
okay.
I've heard him
So
before. He's quite talented. But he did like a couple of episodes guest arc on Glee, way back when, and
oh,
that's
okay.
that's really him singing, and he is fantastic. So
Hmm, nice. Well,
yeah,
I enjoyed that.
yeah. I mean, if yeah, I feel like we could stay on the Danny part of the story because this episode was really clearly split into like two storylines going on, with like half the Doom Patrol going one way and half of them going the other way. I really enjoyed like the sort of premise of like Danny the street, kind of taking in, rebels and misfits and, people who don't feel like they belong and giving them a safe haven. And then sort of in return, they give him joy by performing and being themselves at this like cabaret show. that all was kind of very fun for me to see. Um, and it was fun to like see Larry and Vic let loose a little bit in that sort of like dream celebration.
I I guess the biggest thing I was probably upset about was it was so mm, like it's so overused where to keep this alive we need joy and
Sure.
excitement kind of thing. It's like, is it kind of an excuse why we're going to have this never ending cabaret? I
Mhm.
just felt like that was I don't know if that was necessary.
Sure.
um
Yeah, I
kind of
wasn't
like, it's like you got to believe in Santa. There's not enough people that
yeah.
believe in Santa. I mean, more believe in Santa, then the power will come back and whatever.
Right. Yeah, I get that. Um that setup was kind of tropey. Although I didn't quite understand that that's where that was going at first. Because in the opening we're showing obviously Agent Wilson from what we learn later in the episode is the Bureau of Normalcy, hunting, Danny the street down and then walking onto the street and doing some recon. And then, like, he sees the Peeping Toms, like, cabaret show. And I thought in that interaction, like, maybe Danny was like tempting him to stay, kind of thing, like that
Oh, yeah.
like I didn't know exactly what was going on at first. And of course, obviously later in the episode, it's revealed that this, cabaret show is kind of like Danny's, I don't know, maybe metaphorical heart. Um,
Yeah, right.
but yeah, I thought it was like, ooh, like, Agent Wilson was maybe like a closet performer. And, this was like his chance to get on the stage and shine, which it was. Turns out I was sort of half right. Um, but yeah, I thought, I wasn't quite understanding that this was like the center of the street and what was
Mm.
needed to keep Danny going. Um,
I
that being said, I loved Agent Wilson. I love that he like was at the cabaret and was just like super fierce drag queen singing along with Matt Bomer. Like, he held his own, or I should say she held her own
yeah.
for sure. And then her beating up of Agent Darren, when the Bureau of Normalcy unfortunately
Mm.
finally finds Danny, was just like all around fabulous.
It so I have a problem with that as well, in the sense
Okay.
that they were so terrified of being discovered, and
Mhm.
then this force comes in, they
Mhm.
punch out the guy in charge, and the rest are disappeared,
Yeah. I
and it's
actually
over.
I actually kind of thought that that was another dream sequence for a minute, just because
Mm.
played
Oh,
out so perfectly. And
yeah.
then, like, at the end, like, Danny just like kicks out Larry and Vic and kind of runs away. I sort of
Mhm.
thought that that was maybe like another like trick of Danny's, and that the Bureau, he could like fool them for a second and maybe get them lost or whatever. But yeah, I agree. If that was like the total sum of the battle, then yeah, it was way too easy for Danny being so
Right.
scared.
It
Um,
seems more like on brand for this show that they came in and they would gun most of the people down or something. They kind
right.
of start making it
Horrible
tragic,
tragedy. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they'd ultimately prevail, but at a loss, or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure if, like I said, if this, played out in a real sense or in more of like they played a trick and it was sort of a dream sequence sense. Because it did seem to work out so perfectly where, Agent Wilson got to stand up and be like, this is who I am. I am awesome. You can't change me into what you think is normal and good, and your views are too narrow. So yeah,
Mhm.
it was a really beautiful moment. Unclear if it was real or not.
And then, so this Bureau of Normalcy,
Yeah,
um, I'm a little. I wonder. I'm sure we'll find out more about them as time goes on. But
for
I'm
sure.
a little confused at they're the ones that were torturing Larry,
Yeah.
and it seemed very interested in Larry, who is very abnormal. And then, yeah, in this episode, we kind of get like I seemingly the the premise or the mission statement of this bureau is to stamp out all that is not normal.
Yeah.
So to me, those seem at odds. Like it's like you're either a mad scientist that you wants to, we're all about like turning people into oddities and like and harnessing the weird powers and things, and or hey, we're scared of something that's different and
Mm-hmm.
we're trying to stamp you out. Those two things seem opposed.
Totally. And where I sort of reconciled that in my brain was thinking again about X-Men, because Doom Patrol and X-Men are so, similar. I thought about Colonel Stryker and how yeah, exactly. Perfect shirt. Um, I thought about Colonel Stryker and how he was like hunting down mutants, but he was using mutants to do it. So
Sure.
it feels like a thing where like these government organizations are created to like, wipe out the freaks or whatever, but they're not
Hmm.
above, using a quote unquote freak to hunt the others down, because I feel like
Yeah.
they worry that they're not going to have enough success just by themselves, but they don't ever want to like admit that out loud. And so it's like this dirty little shameful thing that they like lean on,
I suppose
what
that's
they
very
hunt
human.
down to aid them. So
I don't mean to like bring it down or like get real, I guess, but it
get
it, it kind of
philosophical,
is.
John.
Well, no, just in the sense of how this. I mean, I guess like you say, how you can put these two things together and
Hmm.
have it make sense is that it's like someone that you know, is a slave owner but has a relationship with a slave. So
Hmm.
you have an attraction too, but then you don't, at the same time you're, or the kind of thing where you're a racist, but apparently not enough to sleep with someone. But
Hmm. Oh. Oh,
can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Well, NVIDIA RTX voice decided to just close and shut down, and then that's
Of
nice.
course, why
I
not?
didn't touch anything. All right, what was the last thing that I said? I don't know what I was.
Okay,
Uh,
so we were just kind of closing out a little bit of a deep historical philosophy about the relationships of slave owners
all
to
the way back
slaves.
there.
Yes,
Geez, okay.
sorry.
Um, well, I was just saying, all right, like I take your point, and I will
Mhm.
concede the seemingly dual agenda of the organization here as to being realistic. Um,
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the times it happens where like government agencies sort of pretend that they're above something, whether it's, like the supernatural kind of phenomena, or, something that's out of the realm of normal, or whether it's like a human thing, like strictly human thing, and they pretend they're above whatever it is. And then, you find out later a lot in, TV shows and movies that they're like, neck deep in whatever, dirty thing that they're pretending to protect against. So,
Right. Yep. Yep. Exactly. Okay. Well, anything else you have to say about? Oh, that's what I was saying. I was saying I'm getting a
oh,
little tired of Larry.
yeah,
I agree with Vic, where he's like, I'm sick of trying to stiffen your spine. And yes, I am too. Like,
yep,
just you're such a downer.
yep.
You know.
Yeah, I feel like this whole episode was sort of, at least this half of the episode was sort of working up to Larry punching Agent Darren and being like, I'm
Hmm.
finally standing up for myself. Took me, all of this whining and moping to get here, but
Yep.
here I am. I'm finally doing it. So I'm also hoping that Larry's, I mean, he's not going to be a fun character cuz nobody's like fun in this show purely. But I'm hoping it's a little bit better because yeah, his whining has gotten to me a little bit for sure.
I mean, if he's gonna be this character where he just doesn't want to participate in the trying to find the chief and doing the things that go along with that and following the clues, then
Mhm.
don't. I'm
Yeah.
tired of hearing you whine about it.
Yeah.
Don't do it then. Stay home and work on your relationship with the entity that's inside you. Stay
Yep.
locked in your room and do that and like just let everybody else be. And like but if you're gonna do this half and half thing, like he keeps going to these places and looking into
Mhm.
things, just quit. I'm
Yeah.
so tired of him.
Yeah, it's funny how Rita's done a little bit of the same thing. Like she's expressed some reticence about, everything that they've been doing and she's not always fully on board, but she's on board enough times that you sort of like forgive her for it. You know what I mean? Like in some instances she's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
this is a bad idea. I don't want to do it." But then you think about like, the episode with the cults and the D creator, and she was like a little reticent at first and then she totally jumped in and she was like, "All right, I'm here. Let's do this
Yep.
thing." So
Mm,
she's got enough balance, I think, that you sort of forgive
yep.
some of the whiny moments.
I feel like she's lifted herself up a little bit.
Yeah.
She's and Larry has yet to do that in any meaningful way. So maybe like you say,
Yes.
punching this guy, maybe this will be the, it's a little bit of a turning point, but
I hope
we'll
so.
see. Um, well, let's see if I have anything else to say. We can kind of do this like lead up to the next episode with the Karen stuff.
Well, yeah, I feel like so the other half of episode 8 was uh Karen, another of
Hmm.
Jane's personalities, and
Hmm.
whoa, like she is quite different than everybody else. She seems
Yep.
totally innocuous at first. Like I was not understanding why
Yeah.
Rita was like she is the worst. Because
Yep.
she's just, kind of like she's exactly how Rita describes her. She's like a cutesy, love struck, 90s rom com inspired, girl who just wants to go after her love and sees everything like through the lens of a romantic comedy.
Yep.
And like she and Doug, this guy that she keeps like going back to apparently, and he keeps taking her back. They had this total like adorable re-meet cute in the rain, and she trips and he helps her, and oh my god. And it was just so strange to watch as Karen reconnects with her old flame, and then suddenly towards the end of the episode you see why she's so crazy and dangerous because she's got love spell eyes.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Definitely dangerous. And
Yeah.
you can on one hand, and we see this in the next episode as well, where one hand you can sympathize, where you've
Mhm.
got understandably personalities within Jane that want to embrace someone else, want to have normalcy, want to have a
Yeah.
love and stuff, and then everybody else trying to resist that. Well, of course, she has the power, to put people under a spell, so
Mhm.
nothing's gonna be genuine.
Mhm.
But it was at first like, wow, this is scary, but then oh, it's kind of sad too.
Right.
Um, she doesn't get her happily ever after kind of thing.
Right. Um I do have to side note this because I feel like most of the story really happens in the next episode.
Yeah.
with Karen. But I did think it was hilarious. The first thing I thought of when I heard the name Karen was just like the Karens. You know what I mean? Like the Karens that we hear about on like social media
Mhm,
that are talking
mhm.
about like, people who are like, I'd like to speak to your manager and, all of that kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
stuff. So I was like, ooh, like what are we gonna get with Karen? And then it was like totally not what I was expecting.
Yeah, it's definitely like this was written pre pre like the
Karens.
explosion and overuse of the term Karen.
Yes.
Um so yeah, she gets to ride that bandwagon, I guess, now.
Yep.
Um,
um
but yeah.
yeah. Yeah, before I knew about the love spell eyes, which obviously is clearly her, superpower, and
Mhm.
is, quite crazy. I definitely was not understanding Doug, this guy that like she keeps going back to. Clearly this has happened multiple
Oh,
times,
yeah. Right.
and he like takes her back and,
Yep.
like falls for that total, like klutzy move in the rain, and then they're
Yeah.
together, and all of that. I was just like, man, like I know Rita described her as a character in a 90s rom-com. Can she like influence the environment around her to like make it like he thinks he's in a movie? Like I thought of that the movie that came out a couple of years ago with Rebel Wilson, like Isn't It Romantic, where she like hits her head and she like wakes up in a rom-com. And I thought maybe that's what happened to Doug, because I don't know how else, he could have just been like,
Right.
"Sure, you're back now. Like you keep abandoning me, but whatever, I love you." Like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I felt bad for that family.
Yes, the parents were like so
Oh man.
clearly, aware of what
Hmm.
was happening, even though they tried to dissuade Doug in a really weird way. Like, did you think that when they were talking to
Oh
him, when his mom was like, "I've raised you and I've nursed you with these breasts," and I was
yeah,
like,
that was
"What?"
just uncomfortable. We didn't need that. I
No,
mean,
that was like a little too
yeah.
real. Also, like, thank God my mother's never said anything like that to me.
She's gonna now. She's gonna now. It's gonna
Thank
happen.
goodness. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
gonna watch this episode and be like, "Ah, well, if I ever need to convince Andrea
Yeah.
of something, lay on the guilt trip." But yeah, like the parents were like clearly like over this whole scenario, but a little strange before they got hit with the love spell eyes.
I sustained your existence with these here boobs.
Why? Why would that convince anybody of anything? Ugh,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
But
It
yeah, so
was.
they then got hit with Karen's special love spell eyes, and they were all like gung ho because Karen proposed to Doug. And then we sort of shift into the next episode where everybody's getting ready for a wedding,
Yeah.
and we finally get to see Cliff interact with Jane's, you know, physical person, even if he's interacting with Karen, one of her other personalities. So this is, been a while since they've been separated now.
Yeah. I mean, I was so um episode 9 I liked a lot. We
I
learned
loved it.
tons about
Jane.
Jane and
Mhm.
the way her split personalities work. We got to
Mhm.
see the underground a lot, all these different, like you say, I didn't expect the different physical forms of some of the personalities.
Yeah.
Some not, and it seems like Jane is not. She's a primary, but she's
Yes.
not the original.
Yes.
Um,
That's Kay.
tons, just so much.
But
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, it was really interesting. I wasn't expecting everybody to have different looks. Like I was expecting, the way that they appear on Jane. Um,
right.
the way that they physically look like different versions of her, but in this you can really see they're like different actors playing them, like
Yep.
different physical features. So that was really cool, I
Yep.
thought.
Yep. Um, we saw quite a few. It was definitely a creepy place. It's amazing.
Mhm.
I just, I don't know. I'd like to know how much research they did into like um, multiple personalities and how people with the condition perceive their
Mhm.
multiple personalities, and if there is sort of a almost mind palace element to it,
Mm-hmm.
where you would visit with and converse with in a space your other personalities.
Yeah.
Um, but regardless, it was a very interesting and effective way uh, to display that for us,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah,
and to
because
see walking through the memories and all that stuff.
right. Yeah, I quick counted. I wrote down everybody we got to meet, and we met about 20 different personalities, even if they didn't all speak or, really
Yeah.
do or contribute too much to the plot. We at least saw them, and they were
Well,
named with their like different text.
and I don't know which one it was, but there was one, maybe it was Scarlet Harlot, maybe.
Such
One
a
of
great
them,
name. Such a great
yeah,
name.
one of them was, I can see you being that in a play or something. You're
Absolutely.
just, it's your name and something. Um, it's definitely seems foreshadowing to me because
Hmm.
Jane's like, and how many times have you gone topside or whatever? That's right, none. Well,
Mm.
we're gonna see her at some point, but because she looked interesting, and
Oh, yeah, that was Pretty Polly.
was it
That was
okay?
that
Okay.
was that whole like or no, Karen was like singing a song and Pretty Polly was totally flipping out. And she like eventually ended up hitting Karen. I have no idea what that was about. But I hope like you that we get to then see Pretty Polly take over so we can figure out what that was. Because it was very strange to like see Karen singing that song, have no connection to like what it was. I hadn't heard it before, but it really seemed to freak Polly out a lot. So
Yep.
that was interesting.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, we're seeing how there are a set number of primary
Hmm.
personalities
Yep.
that surface, but
Right.
there are so many others that have split off for a purpose. Like you talking
Yes.
about how they have, that's not my purpose. And
Hmm.
so when Jane needs to run, or then you go to what's her face, Tiny
Flit.
Tim, um, Flit. Yep. So all that kind of thing. I like the way that's being set up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting to see the sort of hierarchy that exists even, within one person and their multiple
Hmm.
personalities. Like the ones that
Yeah.
are primaries come out most commonly. So it'd be interesting to see who else is a primary. Like is Hammerhead, do we think? Since Hammerhead is so often there,
Yeah.
like, do
So
we think
frequent.
Hammerhead's maybe a
Yeah.
primary?
Yeah. I don't know,
It's hard to
because
tell
maybe
like
the
what
situation has been calling for that.
right. It's hard to tell exactly what makes a personality a primary.
Hmm.
We just know that Jane is one. But yeah,
I
yeah,
thought this stuff with, I mean, it was like you wrote Brendan Fraser. It was good to see him in there.
yeah.
I'm I'm liking this element so far, that he's trying to help her. He's sticking to
Hmm.
it and stuff, and that Jane just doesn't. And we can see why. She just has had so much trouble trusting anyone. Her
Yes.
one point of stability, Niles, is gone, and
Hmm.
so I'm hoping that with enough time, Cliff can be that other point of stability for her.
I agree. Yeah, he does a lot this episode towards, I think, gaining Jane's trust. Or,
Mhm.
even multiple personalities of Jane, gaining their
Yeah.
trust and showing that, he's not going to hurt her. Obviously, definitely not the same way that her father did, because that was some pretty heavy hinting at
Oh yeah.
different types of abuse, um, mostly sexual, but probably emotional, potentially physical abuse as well. Um, so he really shows Jane that, like, I mean, even though logically we as a viewer would know as a robot, what would he really do, to sexually abuse her? But he really shows up and is able to sort of like prove to Jane that he's better than that. He's not just like a scary
Yep.
man. He's
Yep.
he's evolving beyond and he's trying to be better. So that was a really that did kind of get to like a cathartic moment for them. Um
Yep.
because obviously when they first see each other, when he is finally able to get through the prison cell and break out of there, and Penny Farthing's able to like lead him to Jane, they have a reunion, he apologizes and she just like doesn't give a crap about it. So
Yep. It was ending optimistically for me, and then
Mhm.
we hear her father's voice in her head again at the very
Yes.
end. And that was
Yes.
disappointing to me. It's like, oh,
Yep.
I thought this was like a breakthrough. And
I thought
I
so
mean, I
too.
guess you know, it's one of those things that I'm sure is, you know, trying to demonstrate how trauma never really goes away. Like it's never
Right.
gone.
You don't
You
just get that
learn
like
to
one great
cope,
moment and you're like,
right?
I'm
Mm,
fine.
right. You learn to cope. You learn to, persevere. You learn to, um, move on in ways, but it's always there. So I'm guessing that's the idea, but I hope that we still get progress. Like
Yes.
trauma doesn't mean that you never improve,
Right.
either. So
I did also wonder, just because I feel like in these past few episodes, we've really been missing Mr. Nobody. And I kind
mhm.
of wondered if maybe he was doing this somehow, because
Hmm.
he's been proven to be able to get in her brain before, when he like
Yeah,
plants the whole Doom Patrol thing. So I kind of wondered if maybe
it's
that
the
was
sisters.
him, or yeah, like he's getting in there somehow, communicating with one of the personalities or some of the personalities. I don't know.
Yeah, it could
I don't
be.
know.
I mean, you never know. Like his powers are vast and undefined. So that certainly
Right.
is within the. He's the scarecrow or whatever that was in the prison with Cliff
Oh,
that
right.
tossed him the like shank,
Yeah.
to dig his way out.
That was
It's like,
very
what is
funny.
that? That's strange. I love the
Yeah.
little like no answers kind of things like that.
Mhm. Just the random Jonathan Crane.
Yeah, the scarecrow from Batman. I mean, it's DC, so I
You
mean,
never know.
it could be. I mean, Jane was exposed to the scarecrow's fear toxin at some point, and it really got in her head, and
She
quite
was in an
literally,
asylum, so you never know.
yeah, yep,
Um So yeah, I feel like, I don't know, maybe I was reaching a little bit with like thinking it was Mr. Nobody at the end, but I really feel like we've sort of lost the plot on Mr. Nobody for these past couple episodes, and I'm hoping
okay,
that we can bring it back, and he's, got something to do with all of this again. Just because I felt like he was
mm,
so strong in the first episodes, like we got sucked in his other dimension, he stole Niles, like he kind of
yeah.
popped up again a little bit by like letting Niles go and then snatching him back, but now he's been missing again. So,
I would like um I would like to see him involved again within the next two episodes,
yeah.
though I will say it's if they do, I'll be interested to see how because they clearly can. It's like hmm, I know there's something that I've watched or done or played or whatever that's a lot like this in the sense that it starts to get unrealistic how many times you're able to get away from the villain that is way
Oh,
more powerful than you, kind
totally.
of thing. So you get to a point. Boy, I just wish I could remember what I wish I would have thought of this before because it's something where you're like the villain could just crush you right
Mhm.
now if they wanted to. It just stamp you out of existence. And so he's given them a couple chances and had fun toying with them, making
Yeah.
them afraid, all the stuff. Um, you poke the bear too many times and then you
Mhm.
get eaten. So
Mhm.
they do think they need to pace that. It's a difficult thing to pace throughout the season for whenever the like real confrontation happens again. So
Sure. Yeah, I feel like we've just had a lot of episodes of kind of self-discovery, and while I've enjoyed them, I'm
yeah,
also sort of left wondering like where are we moving to? And I haven't gotten much of
Yep.
that. I'm not like mad about it, but I just feel like
Yep.
okay, we need to pick that back up now.
They do need to service the main plot. Yes.
Right.
And yep. Mhm. And maybe they're, hey, here's a cake and it talks about Niles, and you're the street that knows Niles. That's what
Yeah.
they consider that as being service in the plot. But
Well, and I mean, now I'm interested to see, what Danny gave to Vic in that book that he thought was going to be helpful in finding Niles.
oh yeah, so right, the
Right?
comic. Mhm.
Right. That comic right
Yeah,
at the end
forgot about
there.
that.
Yep. Yep. So
Yep.
I mean,
So that
obviously I'm thinking that's going to be tied in somehow, but we'll have to see what exactly that does.
yep. I like your question of whether the the bus driver, or the train operator, really, I
Yeah.
guess, is like part of the construct of Jane's mind or another
Right.
personality.
Mhm.
Uh, like, is she just a function? It reminded me of the game Persona 5. Actually, there's an underground kind of Tokyo, like Tokyo is sick, like the city is like depraved and whatever, and so you go in this
Mhm.
sort of mental underground
Right.
to rid of it of its evils and stuff. And it was a lot like that. It was a lot of train stuff and all that. So
Yeah,
um
it kind of reminded me of like I mean it clearly served as a mechanism to like bring her personality, whichever personality it is to the forefront of, being in the body, like embodying the
mhm.
physical body of Jane. But then it was also interesting, like it sort of reminded me of Westworld. Like when they kept like early
Yeah,
season one, like when they kept starting over and they would just like suddenly be on a train and like go somewhere and like that was like the method for starting the
yeah,
day, like following Teddy
yeah.
on that train. I don't know, it just sort of reminded me of that a little bit. It was kind of
It's
fun.
interesting with the train stuff. Yeah, always like,
Yeah,
hmm.
it's not like a car. You know what I mean? It's like it
Yeah,
always
you don't
seems
have
to be a
freedom of a car.
train.
You don't have the freedom if a car provides. You have
Right.
a
You're being
beginning and a
conducted.
destination.
Right, you're
Yeah.
being conducted, yeah. It's I don't know, I feel like a train is such like a symbol, like we don't
Yeah.
ever have like symbolic cars or symbolic airplanes or symbolic boats. It's usually like a train.
Yeah. Get aboard. All aboard.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm getting it like in my head deep somewhere. It's like something to talk about with this somehow. Um let's see. Um talk about Karen assuming Cliff wants Jane romantically,
Yeah, that was a little
but
weird to me.
Jane figures that he wants to see her as his daughter. As
Right.
being a little creepy and stuff. And that's true.
I feel like
Uh,
Jane is sort of confused about or and maybe was confused about her relationship with Cliff prior to this episode. Like one part of her thinks like, "Oh, like he's pursuing me romantically," and then the other part is like he wants me to be his daughter, and both are obviously very problematic for her as we learn that, her father or potentially stepfather, I'm not exactly sure if he's her biological father, but a father figure abused her when she was a child. So she's really been sort of like, you know, I think stuck in her relationship with Cliff even as she's like drawn to him the most. And I think this episode really went a long way to, like I said before, resolving that relationship in a more positive way.
yep. Well, any other overall thoughts on either of these episodes?
Um no, I think we covered most of everything. It like, kind of broad brushstrokes. It was really fun again to meet so many more of Jane's personalities. It was fun to see Brendan Fraser and Matt Bomer both like, in the
Yeah,
flesh for brief moments. We've
right.
seen Matt Bomer before, I think more than we've seen Brendan Fraser. So it was kind of fun to like have him have an episode where he gets to
Yep.
be himself. So
We get to see his face and the reactions that he makes
mhm.
when he's saying things.
Yeah.
Such an underrated actor. I
Yeah,
think.
I mean, he has to do so much as Cliff Robot Man. I mean, he has to do so much
Mhm.
vocally. That's tough. And
Yep.
so he kind of got to get back to, a little bit of roots and show some of his acting chops. So,
Well, he doesn't even get to portray the physicality. You have just
right?
some real big guy in the robot suit.
Right.
So,
So honestly, I have wanted to bring that up because I think that that makes so much sense to me. They have some, larger guy in the robot suit. I get it. Like, you can't make Brendan Fraser that tall. I don't know
mhm.
why though they don't have Matt Bomer be Larry Trainer under the bandages.
He's not.
He's not.
Oh my
I
God.
know. I'm really
That,
disappointed
you know
about it.
what? It's cost. It's cost.
Probably. I'm sure
That's
it's
dumb.
because like they have to have him um sit in makeup and like do that whole like crazy, cuz he is Larry when he's like just showing like his burned skin, physical form. Like that's Matt Bomer. But when he's wrapped up in the
Yeah. Right.
bandages, that's not him.
Oh my God. You just crushed everything. It just ruined everything.
I'm
I
sorry.
mean, I hate when they do this stuff.
I
It's
do
the same
too.
as the Mandalorian. They sit and they talk to um is it Pedro Pascal? Is that his name?
Yeah. Yep. You're
Yeah,
right.
and when they sit and talk to him, and it's like, dude, you're barely in the show.
Mhm.
You understand, like you firstly you don't have all that many lines, so
Mhm.
your voice, whatever. But then the guy that does all the stunts and all the other acting, like he's just almost never there,
Right.
and it's just disappointing because, like you say, for Brendan Fraser, it makes sense. They want to have a big, towering person,
Right.
lumbering person to be in this suit. Okay, that's fine. But right, Matt Bomer, bandage guy,
Like
Pedro
you could
Pascal, the Mandalorian, be in the suit. Like, I just, I as an actor would I'd say, look, you give me my normal rate to do the voice. I will take the rate of whatever other guy, whatever other schmo you're gonna pay to do it. I'll do it, okay?
yeah,
Because I want to say that I am this person and
right.
portraying this role.
Right.
It's the same as like stunts. If you're in at all capable and they would let you do it, I would want to be
Doing
involved. I
it.
would want to
Yep.
do it myself. So it's like, oh yeah, I did all the pretty shots where I'm sitting in the casino, like
Right.
sipping a drink. But when as soon as the bullets start flying, that's someone else
Yep.
because I'm lame,
Yep.
So,
I agree.
oh my gosh.
I know. I was really disappointed, like I said, when I kind of looked down at the cast list and I saw another name under Negative Man, and then I was like looking, and they were saying, yeah, Matt Bomer doesn't do that under the bandages. So I was disappointed.
What a way to end this show, Andrea. What are you doing? What a
Bringing us
downer to
down, man. And we were on such a positive note. We were talking about like the positive
yeah.
direction that, Cliff and Jane were moving in. And then I just had to ruin it all, just smash the
Yeah.
fantasy.
Yep. Don't don't bog me down with your facts, okay? Don't bog me down with your facts. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Well, are you
All right.
still okay moving ahead to watch the next episodes, even though you're so disappointed?
Oh yeah. We haven't done the gladiator yay or nay in a while.
That's right. This would be a good test.
Okay. All right. On three. One, two, three. All right. Yeah. Gotta see where it goes. Yep, for sure.
Yep,
I'll push
definitely.
I'll push on.
Push past your disappointment.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was Doom Patrol season
Hmm.
1, episodes 8 and 9. Um, hope you're liking the show. Hope you're liking the podcast to go along with the show. And you should follow us on Facebook and Twitter and check out our website and follow us on YouTube and here on
Hmm.
Twitch. Make sure to like and comment and share. Um, Sharing is good. If you're at all interested, share this with other people. Let them know. Thank you to Killing the Flower for our theme song. And you should check them out on Instagram and on Spotify. You can listen to their music.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll be back later this week with our regular episode, non-spoiler cast episode.
Mm-hmm.
And it's looking like we're going to talk a little bit samurai, probably. So tune in for that.
That's right. If you're new to it, you can follow along with me because, man, I realized I haven't seen anything samurai related. So we can learn together.
That's right. Well, don't learn from me. I mean, we'll need someone else on to learn from then if we're gonna be learning things here much. So, but okay, all right. Well, thanks for joining us. Thank you for joining me, Andrea. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody. Cheers.